Alright, so I've updated my PowerShell Pet script so that he can move back and forth across the command line. Let's take a look at him go. And you'll see he still has his poses, but now he can also move back and forth. So let's take a look at the changes that I made. The biggest one was to get rid of the functions. Now his entire life is inside of this infinitely looping for loop. And we still have his switch statement, which generates his poses, and the way we make him move is by adding this mover variable in front of each of his poses, and this mover variable changes every time that the loop repeats, and it either adds a value or reduces the value based on preset. So let's look at how that works. We start out by assigning an integer value to this move variable, and you'll notice that it's outside of the for loop. So this is just to give it an initial starting point. And then the first thing we do inside of the for loop is to reset his mover variable, because we need to rebuild it. And we want to start with just a blank string. Then we come down to this switch statement, and this switch statement will first generate a random number between 0 and 4. If the number is 0, nothing will happen. If the number is 1 through 4, it has either the opportunity to increment that move variable by 1 or 2, or decrement that move variable by 1 or 2. Then we're using that newly altered move variable as the limiter for this for loop, and this for loop is what builds the spaces inside of his mover string. So if this move is increased by 2, then the limiter is increased by 2, and there will be 2 more spaces inside of his mover variable than there was the last time this for loop ran. If it hits 4, well, then the move variable will be 2 values lower, and so it will iterate through this for loop 2 fewer times, which will result in fewer spaces. And that's pretty much it. It's just these 2 lines of code that drive that. It took me a while to arrive at that solution. I'm not a game designer by any means, and PowerShell wasn't really designed to make games, so I'm, working outside of its purposes here, but I'm having fun doing it, and I think this was a cool project. I managed to get it to work in a pretty simple fashion. I'm not really sure what else I'm gonna do with this guy. I'm gonna figure out something though, because I'm having fun, and he's adorable, isn't he? Look at him. He's just having such a great old time. So I'll figure out something else to do with him, but that's it. That's the new PowerShell Pet. Thanks for watching.